ברוכים הבאים. אנחנו ביום ראשון של תוכנית שהחלטנו להתחיל איתה, תוכנית שעוסקת במחשבות שלנו ומה אנחנו חושבים, ואנחנו יודעים כמה המחשבות שלנו משפיעות על התודעה שלנו ועל כל היום שלנו ועל הרגשות שלנו, ואנחנו בחרנו לפתוח בתוכנית שמתחילה כל יום באיזושהי נקודה למחשבה, נקודה שיכולה לעזור לנו להאיר את המחשבה, את היום, במה שנקרא, ולהדהד מסביבנו. אז ברוכים הבאים וברוכות הבאות. אנחנו נפתח, כמו שאנחנו פותחים כל פעם, כל בוקר, רגע שנייה, את היום שלנו, פשוט בדקה של שקט. אנחנו נתחיל בדקה של שקט, ואחריה אנחנו בעצם נעבור לדבר באנגלית.
So now it's my turn also to welcome you. My name is Sharona, and I am practicing Brahma Kumari's Raja Yoga for 42 years. And I don't think, Tamar, you introduced yourself, but Tamar is a very, very dear friend who is a doctorate of psychology. And so two entry points into a very important subject. How are we taking care of ourself, especially that emotional, mental self? So a point that I took from the versions we studied this morning is this one. When we change, the world changes. And I love this point. It made me go deeper into what exactly do I feel we have to change so that the whole world changes. If you really think about it, it's not obvious. What would it be? But ultimately, I understand that we have to check which bank account we're drawing from for our life force. Which bank account am I drawing from for my life force? Typically, we don't think that the energy that we're running our life from is being drawn from an account, but it is. And it's either a negative energy account or a constructive, positive energy account. And I think the whole world more and more is succumbing, means getting lost in the accounts of deficit, of negativity. It's a kind of account of emptiness, which puts us in debt. We wouldn't necessarily use these words as much as we would just say, I didn't mean to say this. I didn't mean to act like this. I don't want to think like this. I don't want to have feelings like this, but I can't help it. This is the indication that I would hardly have anything to draw from in an account of fine energies, pure energies, and all I have is what's coming to me from this negative account. Programmings, conditionings are ruling me as if I'm not the one in charge and I can choose what to think and what to feel. So this has to change. I have to go to my other bank and start depositing there instead of depositing in that account of negativity so that I have something to draw from. Over to you, Tamar.
Yes, you know, when you told me this morning that this is the point of today, I was very happy because I think this is the basic my life philosophy that I work with. And you know, looking from very simple, just simple behaviors, just let's start with the basics because what we feel, what we feel changes the world. Yes, when we smile, usually the person in front of us will smile too. It's contagious, and good thing it is. When we're angry, the people around us will start being stressed also and start behaving angry. So in the simple way of sense, our energy, our face, our behaviors, they're contagious and they reflect on others. And I like it when you said, I don't want to feel like this, or I don't want to be that. But usually most of the people, including me, sometimes say, he makes me feel that. I don't like him. It's not, saying if we take it inward, it's already a step, a good step, uh, being more effective. Because I look at it from the perspective of how effective are our actions. We can talk from this morning till tomorrow night about we don't like our teachers, our son's teacher, or anything like that. But if we don't act on it or we don't do and we just talk about it, it's a lot of wasted energy. And that I relate to what you talked about the account because we're wasting so much of our energy in areas which are not effective. So, I think as a psychologist and a consciousness researcher, I use it a lot because, we can talk a lot about the war or about leadership outside. But then I say, those things are big, they're huge. Let's start with something smaller, with little fights in our family. My son told me, he used to tell me that I threaten him. He feels threatened by me or intimidated by me, and I can take it as a mother and say, what? How can he say that? He doesn't see how a good mother I am, and how can he be irritated? But then if I look inside and check, where am I threatening myself? What actions do I do that threaten myself? And I start changing my behavior around that. For instance, I want to eat that chocolate cake, or I don't know, some places where you feel threatened by yourself. And then you start changing your behavior around that. And then you start changing your behavior. It changes when you talk with your son about things that he should do or should not do. And I feel those things reflect and I'm looking for the word in English, lehadhed. It means, it's like waves. They start going on and on. And we start with the small stuff. We take it to our family, to our friends. And then all this energy, it's contagious. And it works through the word. But that's a psychology way of looking. And I really would like to hear how you take it to the spiritual level, because it's usually
very similar, very similar. I don't think our entry points are all that different. It's just that they have different words. It's interesting because I would add a third component to it. You said we don't want to just talk about the change that I have to make. It's not useful, you were saying, until we act upon it. And it's something that you and I have kind of shared before, but what I'm seeing in my own life is that if I don't add a third component, life gets heavy because I'm acting basically running on empty. I know the right way to speak and to do, but it's like one thing on the outside, and inside is this accumulation of heaviness, tiredness. The way I shared earlier was I was tired of faking it. So especially at this point in time, because I think we are at very interesting times in which we've gone into an extreme, which is good news, basically, because when you're in an extreme, there's no place to go except the journey towards the other extreme. And I think that's what we're going to see happening. But this third element is necessary to start the swing. And that is, I'm not going to just talk about it. Means I'm not just going to understand the change I want to make. And I'm not just going to talk about it. And I'm not just going to act on it. But in between, somewhere, I'm going to find that field inside me, which is literally charged with the feelings I need to act how I want to act. So in other words, what I'm saying is being accepting, being allowing, being patient, loving. These are energies, spiritual energies. And we like them and we want them for our life because the innermost being is that, made from that. And if I'm not spending some time either studying my scriptures, working with positive affirmations, prayer, meditation, if I'm not doing something to connect to that inner self and fill that account of pure energies, well-being energies, then I may speak beautifully and I may act beautifully, but at some point I'm going to break down. And I feel that that's what we're seeing in the world. Major breakdown, which happens because people are running on empty. They're still too much disconnected from the innermost divine self.
So you're adding a really important component, which is tuning in to our natural good qualities, the powers within us, the qualities that are very natural to us as kids from the beginning. And somehow we're drained. We kind of we lose, when we think about the war, for instance. It's difficult to have these good, pure feelings. And what you're saying, like a bath, bathe yourself.
That's right. That's right. Just like we take a shower or we brush our teeth, the soul needs this bath. Otherwise, every thought, every word, every behavior, which is reactive or negative, that's a deposit in that account of darkness. And right now, most of us are our account of darkness is larger than our account of light. And that's why we find ourselves thinking, acting, and speaking in ways that we don't really want to be doing.
So if you
Go ahead,
no,
sorry.
go ahead.
It's just I'm watching the time and I'm just appreciating that there's one more component to this, which I think is really powerful, because I didn't buy into when I change the world, will change who's me, just one little, But when I understood that we don't need 8 billion people to do this work, we just need the critical mass, a tipping point number of people. That made all the difference, because with the collective account of light, of constructive energies being put into talk and being put into action, that's going to bring a return so as to really start the swing and land us in another extreme.
Yeah, it brings hope what you say, and I think that for people who are still, it's difficult. The other tip I would give is to be around those people. Sometimes if it's difficult for us to bathe, so try to be a little more with the people that help you bathe in the good stuff.
And be sure to give yourself some quiet time every day, either
Yeah.
with your scriptures or your affirmations or whatever, but nurture and connect with that part of yourself. I'm looking at our time. Should we take
Yeah.
a minute to finish up?
Yeah, we'll take 1 minute. I have to say one sentence there. I saw once a great saying that if you trying to change somebody outside or trying to change the world is like trying to cover the whole world instead of putting shoes on your feet.
Nice. Nice.
So yes, our energy has a lot to say, and let's take 1 minute again and let
Yeah.
all that good stuff sink in.
And connect to that innermost self.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow.
Bye
Share it
bye.
with your friends. We'll have a lovely meeting.
Bye bye.
Bye.